The restaurant was glowing with warm lights, filled with clinking glasses and laughing voices. Everyone looked perfect, well-dressed, confident, important. Everyone except me. I stood quietly beside Aiden, my fiancé of 2 years, as his business associates surrounded him. They congratulated him on a new contract, a new building, a new promotion, everything. But nobody congratulated us, because he wouldn't even hold my hand. I tugged his sleeve gently. Aiden, should we tell them about the engagement? You promised. He cut me off with a soft laugh, the type he used when he wanted to impress people. The restaurant's crystal chandelier reflected off every glass surface, making the whole place feel richer than my entire apartment. Aiden's company was celebrating a big merger tonight, and he insisted I come with him. We're announcing big news soon, he said earlier. Just stay close to me. I thought he meant our engagement. But now, standing beside him as his colleagues mixed and mingled, I wasn't so sure. A group of executives walked up to us, laughing loudly, holding champagne. Aiden, one of them said, you didn't tell us you were bringing someone tonight. Finally someone noticed me. I straightened my posture, ready for him to say it. This is my fiancé. But Aiden just gave a polite smile. Oh, him? He's. Before he continued, a middle-aged woman leaned forward, studying me with sharp curiosity. Is he your partner? She asked openly. He's handsome. You should introduce him properly. My heart fluttered. This was the moment. But Aiden cleared his throat, looked at them, then at me and laughed lightly. No, nothing like that. He's just a friend. He helps me with small things. The laughter around us felt like daggers. My smile faltered. My stomach twisted. One of the younger executives raised an eyebrow. Really? I thought I saw matching rings on your fingers that one time. Aiden waved it off quickly. Ah, you misunderstood. He likes jewelry. Don't read into it. I stared at him. Aiden, what are you doing? The woman wasn't satisfied. So you're telling us you came here with just a helper? She said, frowning. Her eyes lingered on my clothes, not as expensive as theirs, and she seemed almost offended. Aiden sighed, his voice sharper this time. He's not my boyfriend. Please don't make assumptions. My chest tightened. Another colleague, a tall man with glasses, looked at me with pity. Sorry. We thought you two were. We're not. Aiden cut in quickly. He didn't even let the man finish. My heart sank lower. I murmured, Aiden, why are you saying that? My voice trembled, barely above a whisper. He shot me a cold glare, the kind he used when I was embarrassing him. Don't start drama, he hissed under his breath. This is a professional setting. Professional, right? The man who held me all night last night now found me unprofessional to acknowledge. I felt my fingers shake. A wave of humiliation spilled over me. Another colleague chuckled. So he's just a friend? Good to know. Some of us were already planning to recruit him for our team since he looks like he has taste. They all laughed again. I didn't. I stepped back, my legs numb. I need some air, I whispered. No one stopped me, not even him. Outside, the night was cold, but the humiliation burning inside me was hotter. I wiped my eyes quickly. If I didn't leave, I was going to cry in front of everyone. Then a deep voice came from behind me. Rough night. I turned and froze. Leaning against a sleek black luxury car was Liam Hart, the CEO of the rival company Aiden always cursed about at home. He looked like he stepped out of a magazine. Tall, perfectly styled hair, sharp eyes that could slice through lies. And right now, those eyes were studying my face like he already knew what happened. I sniffed. I'm fine. I just needed. You're lying, he said bluntly. And he humiliated you. My breath caught. He saw everything? No, he didn't need to. It must have been obvious. Liam walked closer, slow and deliberate. When a man truly loves someone, Liam said quietly, he doesn't pretend they don't exist. My throat tightened. Before I could respond, Liam opened the back door of his luxury car. Get in. I blinked. Why? Because you shouldn't walk home with tears on your face. And because watching him deny you made me angry. My heart pounded. Through the restaurant windows, I could still see Aiden laughing loudly, acting like nothing happened. That was enough. I slid into the car, my hands shaking. The seats were soft, warm, safe. Liam got in and started the engine. "Where to?" he asked. I whispered my address. His eyes flicked toward me. "You deserve better than him." I swallowed hard. "You don't even know me." Liam's voice dropped, low and intense. "Maybe not, but I know value when I see it." The car pulled away, leaving the restaurant and Aiden behind in the dark. The silence inside the car was louder than any conversation at the party. It was the heavy, velvet silence of extreme wealth, insulated from the city's noises. The air smelled of expensive leather and, faintly, of sandalwood and cypress. A dark, grounding scent that I instantly knew belonged to the man beside me. I shouldn't have gotten into the car. Not with Liam Hart. But when he looked at me, those sharp eyes cutting right through the practiced politeness I wore, I felt seen for the first time all night. And being seen, even by a rival, was infinitely better than being erased by my fiancé. I hugged my purse tight, leaning my forehead against the cool glass of the window, trying to steady my racing heart. "You're trembling?" Liam stated, his voice low. He didn't look at me. His eyes were fixed on the road, turning the massive steering wheel with a casual ease that only amplified his power. I quickly pulled my hands into my lap. "It's cold outside." "No," he contradicted smoothly. "It's adrenaline and shame. Don't try to spin it for me, Noel." My head snapped up. How did he know my name? "You never asked my name," I whispered, confused and a little frightened. Liam finally glanced over, a tiny, almost invisible smirk playing on his lips. "Aiden's engagement ring is on your finger, and he calls you by a different pet name every month. But your name is Noel." I checked. Do you think I'd pick up a distressed Omega from a corporate event without knowing who he was? His bluntness was startling. He had intelligence on me, on us. The fact that Aiden, the man who pretended I was a stranger, was a common topic in the rival CEO's office made the humiliation burn anew. "You know about the ring, too?" I murmured, twisting the smooth band on my left hand. "It's a matching set, subtly customized with the company logo on the inside," Liam said dismissively. "It's tacky, and it screams hidden employee benefit, not fiancé." But yes, I know. I couldn't defend Aiden because every word Liam spoke was true. "Then why are you here?" I asked, finally finding my voice. "Why did you stop? To mock me?" Liam slowed the car as we approached a traffic light, casting long shadows inside the cabin. "Mock you? No. I told you why." He turned his whole body toward me, leaning an arm on the center console. His eyes were pure ice, yet somehow intensely focused only on me. "When I saw the way Aiden used you as a shield, a prop he could discard the second his superiors showed up, it genuinely annoyed me." "You're angry for Aiden's rival, not for me," I corrected, trying to maintain some dignity. Liam let out a soft, dry chuckle. "Let's be honest, Noel. It's both. Aiden's weakness is his cowardice. He fears losing status more than he fears losing you. And watching him hide something as beautiful and valuable as you are from the world, it's a waste. Beautiful and valuable. Aiden had called me a helper and a friend." Tears pricked my eyes again. I quickly turned my face to the side window so he wouldn't see. "He has his reasons," I mumbled, trying to cling to the broken promise of 2 years. "He said he wanted to wait until the merger was final. He didn't want to cause a distraction." "A distraction?" Liam scoffed. "You are an Omega, Noel. Any good alpha would show you off regardless of a merger. That kind of devotion elevates status, it doesn't detract from it. The truth is, he's ashamed of you for being a distraction, or he simply views you as disposable." The words were brutal, but they landed with the ringing truth of a final bell. The car stopped completely outside my apartment building. A modest, older complex that looked painfully small and dull next to Liam's gleaming black vehicle. "This is it," I said quietly, reaching for the door handle. "Thank you for the ride, Mr. Hart." "Liam," he corrected, reaching across the console to stop me before I could push the door open. His fingers were warm and firm against my wrist. My entire body tensed at the contact. This was an alpha touch, magnetic and dominating, and I hadn't realized how long it had been since Aiden had triggered that instinctual reaction in me. "Call me Liam," he repeated. He didn't let go. "Noel, I want to ask you something before you go back inside and pretend that miserable evening didn't happen." My breath hitched. His scent was stronger now, closer. It was a gentle but insistent command. "What is it?" Liam's eyes narrowed, his gaze falling to the tacky ring on my finger. "How long are you going to let him treat you this way?" Liam's voice was suddenly devoid of the usual corporate polish, raw and demanding. "Aiden is an alpha. He knows exactly what he's doing by keeping you hidden. He's telling the world you are surplus, that you are not valuable enough to be acknowledged as his own, while claiming the privileges of your Omega status behind closed doors." The brutal honesty cut deeper than any snide comment from Aiden's colleagues. I pulled my wrist back from his grasp, but I couldn't tear my eyes away. "That's not fair," I whispered, even though I knew it was. "We agreed it was temporary." He said he needed stability, not distraction, for this merger. Stability? He needed a secret accessory, not a partner, Liam countered, leaning back slightly, giving me just enough space to breathe, but not enough to escape the conversation. "Noel, you deserve a public announcement. You deserve to be held up as a man worthy of an alpha's devotion." He paused, then delivered the real challenge. "If Aiden is too weak to give you that, why are you wearing his ring?" I looked down at the hand that had rested against Aiden's sleeve so hopefully earlier. The ring suddenly felt heavy, cheap, and utterly dishonest. I don't know what you want me to do," I said, tears finally spilling hot down my cheeks. Liam reached out, and this time, his touch was impossibly soft. He used the pad of his thumb to gently wipe a single tear from my cheekbone. The small gesture of care from a near stranger was overwhelming. "I want you to be honest with yourself," he said, his voice dropping low, husky with emotion that felt dangerously close to alpha possessiveness. "He publicly denied you. He publicly said you were nothing to him. You do not owe him this loyalty. Go inside, pack your bags, and take off that ring." But then what? My entire life, my entire future, had been tied to Aiden for 2 years. The thought of walking away felt like stepping off a cliff. A slow, deliberate smile finally curved Liam's lips. The smile of a man who always gets what he wants. "Then you give me a call," he said, reaching into the pocket of his bespoke jacket. He pulled out a crisp, heavy business card, pure black, the lettering embossed in silver. "I don't tolerate disrespect toward Omegas, especially not Omegas with your potential. You need a place to go, and I need a reason to personally ruin Aiden's week." He placed the card on the smooth leather of the seat next to my hip, not quite touching me. "If you are done being Aiden's secret, call me. I will send a driver, not just a car. I will send you a home, and I will make sure the world knows you are not disposable." He finally reached over and unlocked the door with a soft click. "The choice is yours, Noel. Stay hidden and humiliated, or step into the light and become his biggest regret." I opened the door, stumbling slightly onto the sidewalk. The night air hit me, fresh and cold, carrying the distant scent of his lingering challenge. I looked back. Liam was still sitting there, watching me, his presence a powerful, irresistible gravity. "Good night, Liam," I murmured, holding the door open. He gave a slight nod, a silent acknowledgement of the shift in address. "You won't regret this." And then, with a low rumble of the engine, the sleek black car pulled away from the curb, leaving me alone with a trembling heart, a tacky ring, and a black card from the enemy. I stumbled through the front door of the apartment and immediately locked it, leaning back against the wood. The quiet of our living room was deafening compared to the constant roar of the city, or the silent thunder of Liam's car. The scent of Aiden's cologne, crisp cedar and bergamot, hung in the air. It was a scent that had once felt like home, like safety. Now it felt like a lie. I looked down at the hand that still clutched Liam's business card. It was slick, heavy stock, almost cutting the skin of my palm. The silver-embossed name, Liam Hart, felt like a forbidden talisman. I didn't go into the living room. I didn't want to see the couch where we had shared takeout last night, or the jacket Aiden had tossed carelessly over the armchair. Instead, I retreated immediately to the small, windowless bathroom and locked that door too. I flipped on the harsh vanity light, which immediately revealed the red, tear-stained streaks on my cheeks. I looked pathetic. I dropped the business card onto the counter and held my left hand up, letting the light catch the ring. The customized detail Liam had mentioned, the tiny, engraved company logo, flashed mockingly. Aiden is an alpha. He knows exactly what he's doing by keeping you hidden. Liam's words echoed in the small space, cutting through all the flimsy excuses I had built up over 2 years. It's for the merger. It's professional. It's temporary. He didn't want a partner. He wanted a secret Omega accessory. The realization was a sharp, physical pain in my chest. I placed both hands flat on the counter and stared at my reflection. Aiden had told me I was embarrassing, unprofessional. He had looked at me and publicly claimed I was just a friend, a helper. I had spent 2 years accepting the role of the silent, supporting Omega, trusting his promise that one day I would be his publicly acknowledged mate. How much longer would I wait for a validation he had just proven he would never give? My gaze shifted from the ring to the black card. Liam's scent, sandalwood and cypress, was clinging faintly to my wrist where he had touched me. It was a potent, demanding alpha scent, completely different from Aiden's calculated, sophisticated blend. Liam's scent felt honest, primal, and unapologetically possessive. He hadn't hidden his intentions. He just laid down a challenge. If you are done being Aiden's secret, call me. I felt a surge of defiant heat pool in my belly. It wasn't lust, it was pure, raw Omega anger. Aiden didn't deserve me. Not tonight. Not after that. With a sudden, fierce motion, I ripped the engagement ring off my finger. The small, tacky piece of jewelry clinked loudly on the tile floor. I didn't even look at it. It was ash. I reached for the black card. My fingers traced the silver lettering. I wasn't calling Liam Hart because I wanted him. I was calling him because I wanted Aiden to regret every single cold, dismissive word he had hissed under his breath. I wanted to choose myself. I picked up my phone, my thumb hovering over the dial pad. I had to assume Liam wasn't just doing this for revenge. He was doing this because he knew that involving himself with Aiden's publicly denied Omega would be the ultimate power play. It was a risk, a massive one, a ridiculous leap into the world of corporate warfare and dangerous alpha games. But sitting here and waiting for Aiden to come home and offer another empty apology felt like a slow, painful death. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear the pulse in my ears. I opened the dialer and quickly typed the numbers from the business card. It rang only once before a deep voice answered, sharp and immediate, as if he had been watching the clock. Liam Hart speaking. I gripped the phone tight, taking a deep, shaky breath. Liam, I said, and my voice, though still trembling, was clear. This is Noel. I'm done being his secret. There was a moment of silence on the other end, long and charged with sudden anticipation. Then, Liam's voice returned, low and satisfied, tasting like victory. Good boy. Don't move. I'll have a driver there in 15 minutes. And Noel? Yes. You deserve better than a tacky ring. I'll make sure you get it. I hung up the phone, my hand shaking violently. 15 minutes. That's all the time I had to pack the essentials and get out before Liam's driver arrived. And before Aiden eventually made his way home. A dizzying mix of panic and exhilaration rushed through me. I didn't waste another second looking at the ring on the floor. I unlocked the bathroom door and dashed into the bedroom. My suitcase was tucked in the back of the closet. I dragged it out, throwing it onto the bed. Liam said he would send me a home. I shouldn't need much. I focused on clothes, medication, and the few personal items that truly mattered. I was tossing my favorite worn hoodie into the suitcase when the click of the front door unlocking echoed loudly through the apartment. He's home early. My heart seized. It hadn't been 5 minutes since I spoke to Liam. I froze, listening. Aiden's expensive dress shoes clicked rhythmically on the hardwood floor of the living room. He must have left the celebration early, perhaps missing me, or more likely, realizing that the absence of his helper might be noticed. Noel? Aiden's voice called out. It wasn't soft or apologetic. It held that sharp, dominant tone he used when he was annoyed and expecting immediate compliance. Where did you run off to? I had to tell people you felt ill. You nearly caused a scene. I hope you realize that. I zipped the nearly full suitcase shut with a violent tug, the sound impossibly loud in the sudden silence. I wasn't running anymore. I stepped out of the bedroom, holding the handle of the suitcase tight. Aiden stood in the middle of the living room, loosening his silk tie. He looked immaculate, still radiating the polished alpha confidence that had first drawn me in. But now it just looked artificial. He spotted the suitcase instantly. His face, still flushed from the celebratory champagne, darkened. "What the hell is that?" he demanded. "Are you seriously going to pout and threaten to leave over a professional dinner?" "Noel, don't be dramatic." "I'm not threatening, Aiden," I said, and my voice was steadier than I expected. "I'm leaving." He stared at me, genuinely shocked. For 2 years, my greatest threat had been a quiet sigh. This was new. "Don't be ridiculous. Where would you even go? It's 2 in the morning. Put the suitcase down and let's talk about this." He strode toward me, reaching out to take my arm, but I stepped back instinctively. "We already talked, Aiden," I retorted, gesturing toward the door. "You talked. You told a room full of people that I was nothing to you, that I was a helper, an accessory to be worn and then discarded when the real bosses showed up." Aiden sighed, running a hand through his perfectly styled hair. He shifted tactics, adopting a patronizing tone. "Oh, Noel, come on. We've been over this. It's business politics. That woman, Ms. Vance, she's old school. She has a deep bias against relationships that distract from corporate focus. I was protecting us. If they knew about the engagement, they might use it against the deal." "Protecting us?" I scoffed, a bitter laugh escaping my throat. I couldn't believe I had believed that lie for so long. "You were protecting your promotion. You were embarrassed that your future mate wasn't wealthy enough, or connected enough, to impress your bosses." He flinched, but quickly masked it with alpha dominance. His scent of cedar suddenly becoming sharper, an attempt to pressure me into submission. "Watch your tone, Omega. I provide this home, I provide for you. You don't get to disrespect me over a misunderstanding." He took another step forward, his shadow falling over me. "Where is your ring? Put it on now and unpack that suitcase." "I don't take orders from you anymore," I stated firmly. The words felt like a seismic shift. I looked him straight in the eye, pointing back toward the bathroom. "The ring is on the floor. It belongs in the garbage, not on my hand." Aiden paused, his dominance wavering for the first time. He understood now. This wasn't a tantrum. "You're really doing this?" His voice was cold, laced with anger and fear. Not fear of losing me, but fear of the scandal. "You're throwing away 2 years because of corporate strategy?" "No," I said, gripping the suitcase handle so hard my knuckles turned white. "I'm throwing away 2 years because you threw me away first." A sudden, aggressive sound made us both jump. Beep beep. It was the distinct, loud honk of a luxury car pulling up to the curb right outside our building. A sound utterly foreign to our modest, quiet street. Aiden frowned, looking toward the window. "What is that?" "That's not a taxi." I couldn't help the small, triumphant smile that curled my lips. I pulled the black business card out of my pocket and held it up, letting him read the silver-embossed name. Liam Hart. Aiden's face went white. The color drained from his jaw, and the fear was no longer about a potential scandal. It was about his rival. "Liam Hart? What did you do, Noel? Did you call him?" Aiden roared, the alpha command finally breaking through his composure. "You spoke to the competition? Is this about money? Are you trying to blackmail me?" He lunged for me, his composure finally shattered. He wasn't reaching for me in love, but in a desperate need to silence a witness and retrieve property. But I was faster. I twisted away, yanked the door open, and dragged my suitcase out into the cool night air. "I told him I'm done being your secret," I said, backing toward the building entrance. I saw the sleek black car, even more imposing than before, parked directly across the street. The rear door was already opening. Aiden staggered to the door frame, watching in horror. "You can't." I'll ruin you. I'll tell everyone you slept with the enemy. I'm already gone, I whispered, tasting freedom, tasting sweet revenge. And I'm going with the man who actually knows my value. I turned my back on the coward and walked toward the rival's car. The Alpha driver, a huge man with a silent, professional demeanor, held the door for me. His scent was neutral and unobtrusive, a sign of excellent training. I slid onto the opulent leather seat, pulling my worn suitcase in after me. I didn't look back at the apartment where Aiden was no doubt tearing his hair out. My gaze stayed forward, fixed on the unknown. "Good evening, sir," the driver said softly as he closed the door. "Mr. Hart is expecting you." Where are we going?" I asked, my voice still shaky from the adrenaline. "Mr. Hart's primary private residence," he replied. "Please settle in. It's a bit of a drive." I sank back into the deep cushions. The car felt huge, warm, and safe. Nothing like the cramped space Aiden and I shared. My fingers tightened around the black business card until I forced myself to slip it into my pocket. It was still terrifying, but it was mine. My choice. The drive took us far from my modest neighborhood and into the glittering, exclusive part of the city I'd only ever seen in magazines. Towering glass buildings passed by. Then suddenly the car turned down a secluded, tree-lined road that felt almost rural despite being minutes from downtown. We stopped before massive wrought iron gates. The driver spoke into an intercom, and the gates glided open to reveal a stunning sight. A modern glass structure built into a hillside, overlooking the glowing skyline below. It wasn't a penthouse. It was an estate. "Welcome, sir," the driver said when we reached the entrance. The front door, at least 10 feet tall, opened before the car even stopped. Liam Hart himself stood framed in the doorway. He wasn't wearing a bespoke suit now. Instead, he'd changed into a black t-shirt and dark trousers, somehow even more intimidating in the simplicity. His sharp eyes immediately locked on mine through the car window. The driver opened my door, and cool, clean air rushed in, carrying the faint scent of expensive earth and trees, and the deep sandalwood cypress scent belonging unmistakably to Liam. I stepped onto the smooth stone, overwhelmed. This wasn't a home. This was a fortress built by victory and money. "You made the right choice, Noel," Liam said. His voice was quiet, but it carried weight. He didn't smile, but there was something like satisfaction in his eyes. He strode toward me, took my suitcase from the driver with ease, and held it like it weighed nothing. "Welcome to your new temporary residence," he said. "Don't worry about Aiden. He'll be too busy panicking over this car, leaving his address to try anything stupid tonight." I swallowed hard. "Why are you doing this, Liam?" He tilted his head, the small silver earring catching the light. "Tonight, I saw a valuable man being publicly disrespected by my competitor," he said as he led me into the enormous glass foyer overlooking the entire city. "Aiden didn't want you. I'm happy to take what he throws away and use it to my advantage." He didn't sugarcoat a thing. No pretend romance. No fake sympathy. Brutal honesty. And strangely, that grounded me. What is my advantage?" I asked. Liam set my suitcase down beside a sculptural staircase and turned toward me. His alpha scent surrounded me, but it didn't press or dominate. It wrapped around me like a protective heat. "Simple," he said, stepping closer until I felt his warmth. "Aiden hid you to seem unattached, unburdened. By walking into my home, you've just announced to everyone who matters that he lost control of his assets." My breath caught as he reached up and brushed his knuckles against my scent gland. The touch was intimate, claiming, designed to send a message. "You're a beautiful, desirable Omega," he murmured. "And now you're my trophy. Tonight you sleep. Tomorrow we negotiate the terms of our arrangement. But for now, you are safe, respected, and publicly acknowledged as mine." He stepped back and snapped his fingers. "Driver, show Noel to the guest wing. And call my chef. He needs something warm to eat." The air changed the moment Liam walked away, leaving me standing alone in the luxurious foyer, trembling. Not in fear, but from the weight of my choice. I had traded being a secret for becoming a public weapon in a corporate war. And there was no going back now. When I woke, the first thing I noticed wasn't the silence, or the unfamiliar texture of the sheets. It was the air. The room I was in was enormous, floor-to-ceiling glass on one side offering a stunning view of the city now washed in the soft, early light of dawn. The bed felt like sinking into a cloud, and the bathroom was bigger than my entire kitchen back at the apartment. But the air itself felt purified. Last night, back at Aiden's apartment, the atmosphere had been thick with my own distressed sweet omega scent. A desperate, sour smell triggered by humiliation and fear. That scent was now gone. It had been overridden, gently but firmly, by the ambient, constant presence of Hart's alpha scent. Sandalwood and cypress. It was everywhere, on the expensive, crisp cotton sheets, clinging faintly to the plush robe draped over the chair, and infused subtly into the quiet air conditioning. It wasn't a marking, aggressive burst, but rather a settled, territorial scent that communicated protection and ownership. It was soothing my omega instincts on a level I couldn't control. My body was finally catching up to the shock of the night before. I was physically drained, but the frantic, wired anxiety was gone. Liam's presence, even when absent, was acting as a powerful sedative. I got out of bed and walked to the window. The city stretched out below me, a place of towers, power, and the complex corporate games I had just jumped into. I am Hart's trophy. The thought both terrified and exhilarated me. Morning preparations. After a long, hot shower, using products that smelled faintly of Liam's sophisticated woodsy notes, I dressed in the fresh clothes I'd packed. I wasn't sure what the protocol was for a dramatic escapee staying at the Alpha Rival's mansion. Was I supposed to wait? Was he waiting for me? A soft knock came at the door. "Sir? Mr. Hart asks if you are ready to join him for breakfast." It was a young beta woman, polite and uniformed. "Yes, I am," I replied, trying to sound more composed than I felt. She led me out of the luxurious guest wing and through the soaring, glass-walled halls. The house was designed to look like a gallery, filled with minimalist art and natural light. It was the complete opposite of Aiden's fussy, traditional style. We arrived at a spacious dining area that jutted out over the hillside. Liam was already seated at a long table that felt too large for two people, but his posture, relaxed yet commanding, made the space feel balanced. He was reading a physical newspaper, his coffee cup steaming beside his plate. He wore a dark gray, immaculate shirt, and when he looked up, his eyes were sharp, calculating, and completely focused on me. "Good morning," he said, gesturing to the seat across from him. "Sleep well." I nodded, sliding into the seat. "Surprisingly, yes. Thank you. My home is designed for peace," he said, pouring me a glass of freshly squeezed juice. "You won't find the constant anxiety of a climbing corporate alpha here. Now eat. We have things to discuss, and I don't conduct business on an empty stomach." The table was filled with small, perfect portions of fruit, pastries, and a chef waiting silently in the background. "Before we get to business," I said, taking a nervous bite of toast. "Aiden, he was upset. He knows I came here." Liam leaned back, a dark satisfaction radiating from him. "He does. I had my driver leave a message with your suitcase, the one you threw out, in a very visible spot near his apartment door. And yes, I sent him a courtesy text this morning to let him know his former fiancé is now under my protection." He took a slow, deliberate sip of coffee, watching my reaction. "He is panicking. He's not worried about your feelings. He's worried about his assets. He knows I have what he was hiding, and he knows I intend to use it." Liam set the cup down with a soft click. "So, let's be clear about what you have agreed to. You've traded one alpha for another. The question is, are you willing to embrace this rivalry? Because to Aiden and the world, you are no longer just an omega. You are a corporate weapon." He pushed a thick folder across the mahogany table toward me. "The deal is this: you stay here. I give you the life and respect Aiden denied you. In return, you act as my very public, very exclusive partner. You are my greatest asset against him. Are you ready to play this game?" Liam's question hung in the air, heavy with potential consequences. He was asking me to sign a contract not just for a partnership, but for my entire public identity. I looked at the folder, then back at Liam. He wasn't rushing me. He was waiting for me to acknowledge the gravity of the choice. I understand the rivalry, and I understand my value as your asset against Aiden, I said, my voice steadying. I pushed the folder back slightly. I didn't want to look at the paperwork yet. But I need to know the terms of the relationship, Liam. Is this purely business? Or are there expectations of intimacy? The question was blunt but necessary given our alpha-omega dynamic. Liam studied me, his expression unreadable, before a slow realization dawned in his eyes. Ah, Aiden kept you so hidden. You must believe all alpha-omega arrangements are purely transactional, he observed, leaning forward. His alpha scent spiked slightly, a controlled burst that commanded attention. Noel, this is not a contract for mating or forced compliance. You are an omega who deserves respect and public honor. That is the core of this arrangement. He continued, his gaze intense. The expectations are these. First, you will attend every event I dictate, standing by my side as my partner. Second, you will act the part of my devoted lover in public. A touch, a look, the necessary theatrics to convince the corporate world of my dedication to you. And third, your security, comfort, and well-being are non-negotiable, and they are my responsibility. You are under my protection. He paused, his eyes falling to my abdomen, a silent acknowledgement of the Omegaverse possibilities. As for intimacy, you set the boundaries. I want Aiden to suffer the humiliation of seeing you publicly adored, but I will not use you to achieve it. Any physical bond between us must be mutually desired and consented to. Clear? I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. His answer was leagues beyond the secretive, demanding terms Aiden had imposed. Clear, I confirmed, finally reaching for the folder. I agree to the terms. Liam smiled, a genuine flash of brilliant charm that softened his sharp features. Excellent. Now eat. We have a busy week. You need to be ready for the chairman's gala on Friday. Aiden will be there. The next 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday, passed in a blur of luxurious preparation. Liam had not just replaced my wardrobe, he had completely upgraded my presentation. His personal tailor, a quiet alpha named Kai, had taken my measurements and returned with an array of stunning clothes. Every piece was perfectly tailored, crafted from rich fabrics that felt cool and smooth against my skin. The goal is not just to make you look good, Liam explained over a catered lunch in his private office, reviewing a stock portfolio while I watched a fitting. The goal is to present you as the caliber of mate Aiden should have been proud of. We're maximizing your status. Everything about you needs to scream high value. I was overwhelmed by the opulence, but more so by Liam's easy, respectful manner. He didn't hover or dictate my choices. He simply provided the resources. We talked about everything but the rivalry, art, city history, and even his surprisingly simple taste in music. Slowly, tentatively, I started to feel the pull of his personality, not just his power. The initial veneer of corporate revenge was cracking, replaced by a deep curiosity about the man. On Thursday evening, the day before the pivotal chairman's gala, Liam called me into his library. The room was dark wood, filled with books, and smelled faintly of aged paper and, of course, his grounding sandalwood and cypress. We have a slight practical problem, he said, indicating the scent diffuser in the corner. He set down his glass of whiskey and looked at me seriously. Your scent is recovering, but it's still carrying residual stress from your time with Aiden. It's subtle, but an experienced alpha could detect the lingering anxiety. I instinctively touched my scent gland, feeling a blush rise on my cheeks. I knew he was right. Despite the comfortable environment, the emotional wound from Aiden's betrayal hadn't fully healed, and my Omega scent would carry that trauma. At a high-stakes event, an Omega's scent can betray his emotional state, or worse, make him seem vulnerable. Liam continued, walking toward me slowly. And I want you radiating confidence. He stopped a foot away. The air thickened between us. The solution is simple, but requires trust, he murmured. I need to give you a temporary scent mark. A subtle one, just enough that your Omega instincts register my protection. It will mask any anxiety and ensure your scent is perceived as safe and claimed by me. My throat tightened. A scent mark was an intimate, highly significant action. A silent, powerful declaration of partnership in the Omegaverse. Aiden had only ever scent-marked me within the confines of our locked apartment. Is that within the boundaries we set? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. My heart was pounding, the sound echoing in my ears that I knew he wouldn't force me. But the alpha part of him was clearly desiring this public declaration. Liam nodded, his gaze steady and intense. I am only asking for permission to place my scent on your clothing, at the base of your neck, and perhaps on your wrist. I will not touch your skin, Noel. This is strictly for political protection and your emotional security. You can refuse, and I will respect it absolutely. The choice felt massive yet strangely easy. Aiden had used secrecy to dishonor me. Liam was offering public display to honor me. Do it, I whispered, the word a commitment. Liam's eyes darkened, a surge of concentrated alpha energy radiating off him. He reached out and cupped my jaw, his thumb resting gently against my cheekbone, tilting my head back slightly. His touch was firm, yet respectful, not possessive, but seeking connection. He leaned in, his own powerful scent of sandalwood and cypress washing over me, completely dominating my senses. He didn't kiss me, but pressed his face close to the sensitive skin at the base of my neck. Then he exhaled a slow, controlled, potent breath of his scent, deliberately coating the fabric of my shirt near my gland. The effect was immediate and dizzying. A wave of profound, instinctual peace flooded my entire system. It was as if my anxious, trembling Omega had finally found the safe haven it had been desperately searching for. My knees felt weak, and I instinctively leaned into the protective bubble of his scent. He repeated the action on my left wrist, where my pulse was racing. When he pulled back, he didn't release my jaw, forcing me to meet his gaze. His eyes held no trace of the cold corporate rival. They held genuine warmth, pride, and something startlingly possessive. How do you feel, Noel? He asked, his voice low and husky. Safe, I managed, the word an honest exhalation. And quiet. Everything is quiet. Liam smiled, a deep, genuine smile of satisfaction. He finally released my jaw, but he didn't step back entirely. Good. That is how a protected Omega should feel, he murmured, his gaze falling to my neck, where the invisible claim lay. He paused, then delivered the final, powerful line that settled deep into my core. Tomorrow, you will look like a god, and you will smell like mine. Mine. It was a word Aiden had never dared to use in public. It was a word that felt infinitely more true, more honorable, coming from Liam, the man who was ready to fight the world to protect me. The transaction had ended. The feeling of being truly wanted, truly claimed, was overwhelming. I suddenly felt an uncontrollable urge to reciprocate, to show my new alpha partner that I accepted his protection fully. I took a small, bold step forward, pressing my chest close to his. My arms reached up and wrapped around his torso, hiding my face in the soft cotton of his shirt. My Omega scent, no longer stressed, but warm and sweetly appreciative, bloomed softly, mingling with his cypress. Liam stiffened for a second, clearly surprised by my initiative. Then, his arms came around me, firm and secure, pulling me fully against the solid strength of his alpha body. He buried his face in my hair, inhaling deeply. You're amazing, he whispered against my head. Just amazing. I closed my eyes, letting the protective power of his hug and his scent wash over me. I wasn't just his corporate weapon anymore. I was his, and for the first time in 2 years, I felt like I was exactly where I belonged. The night of the chairman's gala arrived, thick with tension and the sharp scent of anticipation. I stood in front of the full-length mirror, adjusting the cuffs of the midnight blue suit that fit me like a second skin. I looked like a stranger, polished, confident, and expensive. The subtle scent of Liam's sandalwood and cypress radiated from my pulse points, a protective and defiant aura. Liam walked in, magnificent in a tailored black tuxedo, and my breath caught. His eyes, usually sharp with corporate calculation, softened when they landed on me. Ready, Noel? He asked, extending his arm. Tonight, we don't just attend. We make a statement. I nodded, looping my hand through his arm. Let's make sure Aiden hears it. We arrived at the grand ballroom, an opulent space filled with the city's most powerful figures. The moment we stepped across the threshold, the low murmur of conversation seemed to pause. Everyone who was anyone knew about the sudden, dramatic exit of Aiden's helper and the rumor that Liam Hart was involved. Liam didn't pause. He led me straight to the most central, high-traffic area of the room and directly toward a pale, furious-looking Aiden. Aiden was standing with his potential merger partners, his hands visibly shaking as he watched us approach. He was still wearing the look of a man who had been utterly blindsided. Liam Hart? Aiden bit out, his voice strained and tight with poorly concealed alpha frustration. I should have known you were behind this theatrical nonsense. Liam offered a practiced, charming smile that didn't reach his eyes. Aiden, I heard you lost something valuable recently. I just wanted to show you what good care I'm taking of it. He tightened his grip on my arm, his fingers digging in just slightly. A private, possessive reminder of our arrangement. Major power players were already subtly gathering, watching the showdown with keen interest. Noel, what are you doing? Aiden demanded, his alpha scent of cedar spiking with panic and anger, trying weakly to push past Liam's dominating cypress. Come home now. This is ridiculous. I'll forgive this display. This was the final nail in the coffin of my past. I am home, Aiden, I said, my voice clear and steady, amplified by the protective shield of Liam's scent. With the man who doesn't introduce me as just a helper. Liam leaned down, his lips brushing my ear, ensuring his words were heard only by Aiden. I found the ring, by the way. I had it recycled into a very pretty paperweight. Consider it a small, tangible reminder of your poor judgment. Aiden looked utterly defeated, unable to launch a proper alpha defense against Liam's unassailable confidence and position. The declaration. Suddenly, an older, powerful alpha, the chairman himself, approached Liam. Liam, my boy, who is this? You've never brought anyone this stunning to an event. Liam drew me closer, placing his hand possessively on the small of my back, right where the scent mark lay. This time, his grip felt less like a strategic prop and more like genuine assurance. Chairman, Liam said, his voice booming with pride across the hushed circle. Allow me to introduce you to Noel. He is my boyfriend. We are officially committed. He didn't say asset or partner. He said boyfriend. The single word, charged with real social commitment, hit me with the force of a physical blow. The promise of the revenge plot had just publicly crossed into something tangible and permanent. Aiden let out a choked sound, his face twisting with pure, raw despair. Liam's alpha confidence swelled, filling the space. The chairman congratulated us heartily, oblivious to the drama, and pulled Liam away to discuss business. I was left standing near Aiden, who was breathing heavily, his eyes blazing with hatred. You're making a terrible mistake, Aiden hissed, finally recovering enough to speak. He doesn't want you. He wants the pleasure of ruining me. You are a pawn. Maybe, I whispered, meeting his gaze without flinching. But at least he's proud to display his pawns. The chairman's waltz began, and Liam returned, pulling me onto the crowded floor without asking. He held me close, one hand on my waist, the other holding my hand in a classic, intimate embrace. The feel of his body against mine, swaying to the slow, romantic music, made my heart hammer. You were perfect, Liam murmured, his breath warm against my ear. Aiden is bleeding. The word boyfriend was a bit much, wasn't it? I managed, trying to keep the trembling out of my voice. It was exactly enough, Liam countered, his eyes locked on mine. It changes the context from a fling to a serious, long-term acquisition. It proves I value you publicly. As we danced, I saw Aiden across the room, watching us with a single-minded intensity that felt dangerous. Liam saw it too. He slowed our movements, pulling me impossibly closer. Then, without warning, Liam cupped my cheek and kissed me. It wasn't a calculated peck or a quick peck for the cameras. It was a deep, deliberate kiss. His lips were soft but demanding, and the sudden, overwhelming rush of his concentrated sandalwood and cypress scent flooded my senses. My Omega reacted instantly, arching into the contact, a soft, involuntary sound escaping my throat. The world dissolved into the warm, secure pressure of his mouth. For a second, I forgot the ballroom, the chairman, and the burning gaze of my former fiancé. All I felt was the intense, magnetic attraction and the profound alpha connection that the scent mark had already established. When he finally pulled back, I was breathless, my hands clutching the silk lapels of his jacket. We overdid it," I stammered, my cheeks flushed, my body trembling with shock and heat. Liam smiled, his eyes triumphant and slightly possessive, and I knew the moment had been primarily for Aiden. "We gave them their story," Liam said smoothly, but his eyes were too intense, too close. He saw the genuine, dizzying effect the kiss had on me. My heart was beating frantically, a clear, unwelcome admission. My mind screamed that this was acting, that this was a tactic to win a corporate war. But my body was humming with the deep, sensual memory of his lips, and my Omega was purring contentedly under the influence of his scent. I am just his trophy, I fiercely reminded myself, trying to beat down the treacherous hope that flared in my chest. This is all a brilliant, beautiful lie to ruin Aiden. But as I looked into Liam's compelling eyes, I realized the terrifying truth. I didn't care if it started as a lie. My heart was betraying me. I was falling for the alpha who publicly claimed me, and I desperately wanted that kiss to be real. The moment the music swelled for the next waltz, Liam was guiding me off the floor, his hand still warm on my back. We didn't exchange another word with anyone. He simply nodded curtly to the chairman, flashed one last triumphant glance toward Aiden, who was still standing paralyzed by the buffet table, and led me out of the grand ballroom. The sudden shift from the brilliant, noisy chaos of the gala to the cool, quiet privacy of his waiting car was jarring. I slid into the back seat, my legs shaking, my body still humming with the lingering heat of the kiss and the dominant presence of Liam's scent. The driver, a different man tonight, was invisible behind the partition, leaving us in a charged, intimate silence. "You should look at the news tomorrow," Liam finally said, his voice low and intensely satisfied as the car pulled away. He leaned back, loosening his bow tie with a careless flick of his wrist. "Aiden's reputation is currently being decimated by the speed of his loss. The gala was a stunning success." "The gala was an ambush," I corrected, pulling my knees up to my chest, suddenly feeling small again. I turned to face him, the moonlight filtering through the car window illuminating the sharp angles of his face. "You called me your boyfriend, Liam," I said, the words trembling slightly. "That wasn't in the terms. And the kiss, it wasn't just a brief peck for the cameras. It was possessive." Liam didn't deny it. He reached out and gently ran the back of his fingers down my arm, a touch that sent a shiver through me. "You are absolutely correct," he admitted, his eyes holding mine. The word boyfriend was a public declaration of long-term intent, moving us out of the pawn category and into prize. And yes, the kiss was deeply possessive. He paused, letting the weight of his admission settle. "It started as strategy. I wanted to claim you not just as revenge, but because you are objectively valuable. But tonight, when I looked at Aiden, at that pathetic alpha trying to reclaim something he didn't even acknowledge, the strategy shifted. He moved closer, his alpha scent of cypress and sandalwood enveloping me, demanding my complete attention. When I held you on the dance floor and saw how radiant you looked, I realized I didn't want the world to think I was acting to value you," he confessed, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "I realized I wanted them to know I value you for real. The possessiveness wasn't for the crowd. It was for me." My breath caught. My mind, the part that had been relentlessly chanting, "I am just his trophy, I am just his trophy," seized up. I thought it was overdone," I stammered, twisting the fabric of my trousers. "I thought we ruined the plausible deniability of the act." "There is no act left, Noel," Liam stated firmly, his gaze unwavering. "The line blurred the second I smelled your scent settle in my home, the second I gave you the scent mark, and certainly the second you kissed me back tonight." The silence stretched, filled only by the quiet hum of the luxury engine. My heart was pounding, desperate to admit the truth, yet terrified of the vulnerability. "I liked it," I finally whispered, unable to meet his eyes. "The kiss, the way you held me. I liked the feeling of being claimed." "My Omega," it responded. Liam reached for my hand, gently linking his fingers with mine. His palm was warm, strong, and deeply comforting. "I know," he said, his voice tender. "That's why I'm being honest with you now. The deal we signed is null and void. This is no longer a corporate transaction. I want you as my mate, not my asset. I want to honor you publicly, permanently, and completely." He turned my hand over and kissed the sensitive skin of my wrist, the exact spot where he had given me the scent mark. "I am completely, genuinely, and foolishly falling for you, Noel," he admitted, his eyes earnest. "And unlike Aiden, I will not hide the truth." Tears pricked my eyes, but these were different. Not tears of humiliation, but overwhelming relief. I looked at this powerful alpha, the rival, the man who had swept me into a dangerous game, and saw only the man who had offered me dignity. "But why?" I asked, confused by the sudden, profound depth of his feelings. "You don't even know me." Liam smiled, a genuine, soft curve of his lips. "I know enough. I know the man who was brave enough to rip off his engagement ring and leave 2 years of security for the chance at respect. I know value when I see it, and you are everything I didn't know I needed." He brought my hand to his chest, right over his heart, where the thudding was strong and steady beneath my fingers. "Stay with me not as a trophy, but as my boyfriend, my partner. We will build a life where you never have to be a secret again. What do you say?" I looked at his earnest face, at the city lights passing outside, and at the hand holding mine. I had nothing left to fear, and everything to gain. "Yes," I murmured, a genuine smile finally breaking through the tension. "I'll stay." I woke up the next morning feeling lighter than I had in years. The massive bed in Liam's guest wing felt like a cloud, and the constant, protective wash of his alpha scent, now mingled sweetly with my own contented Omega scent, was a physical comfort. The terror of the previous night was replaced by the dizzying, brilliant reality of Liam's confession. He was already gone when I woke, but a note was left on the bedside table, written on thick, creamy stationery. "You are real. I'm handling the collateral damage. Stay put and know that you are loved." I laughed out loud, a genuine, joyful sound. Aiden had never written me a love note, only terse texts about meeting times. Liam's corporate collateral damage was already dominating the news. The papers were reporting the fallout of the gala. Liam Hart's company stock surged on the news of his long-term commitment, while Aiden's merger talks were officially suspended due to unforeseen instability and character concerns. Aiden's professional life was effectively over. Just as I finished dressing, the house manager entered, looking nervous. "Sir, there's been a situation. Mr. Hart's security team has apprehended a trespasser on the perimeter of the estate. The trespasser insists he must speak to you." My blood ran cold. I knew exactly who it was. I walked down to the secure main entrance, escorted by one of Liam's large, silent alpha bodyguards. Aiden stood in the entryway, held tightly between 2 security personnel. He was disheveled, his expensive clothes rumpled, his hair a mess. He looked less like a corporate alpha and more like a desperate, cornered animal. His cedar scent was spiked with pure panic, sharp and unpleasant. "Noel!" he cried out, struggling against his captors. "You can't do this to me. You owe me. I kept you safe for 2 years. This whole thing with Hart is a revenge fantasy. Admit it." I stopped a safe distance away. The pity I might have felt was completely overshadowed by the memory of his dismissive, cold face at the gala. "I owe you nothing, Aiden," I said, my voice steady. "You didn't keep me safe. You kept me secret. You used my status as an Omega to pretend you were available for better prospects. Hart is playing you." Aiden spat, frantic. "He'll discard you next month when the stock stabilizes. He's just saying those things because he's a narcissist who wants to claim everything I touch." Just then, the main elevator opened, and Liam Hart strode out. He looked immaculate and dangerously calm. His powerful alpha presence immediately dominated the space, pushing Aiden's frantic scent into insignificance. Liam walked straight to me, placing a hand on the small of my back. A solid, unmistakable assertion of ownership. His scent swelled, acting like a territorial barrier between me and the intruder. "That's enough, Aiden," Liam said, his voice quiet, carrying lethal authority. "Your contract with Noel ended when you humiliated him in public. He chose to leave you, and he chose to come to me. He is no longer your concern." Aiden's eyes darted between the two of us, his face contorted in a mixture of pure alpha rage and hopeless jealousy. "He is my mate," Aiden roared, making one last, desperate grab for my arm. "He belongs to me. You stole him." The security guards held him fast, but Liam reacted instantly. He shielded me completely, moving his body in front of mine, and his own alpha energy exploded. Not violently, but with overwhelming force. "You failed to claim him when you had the chance." Liam's voice was a low growl, devoid of any pretense. "And now he's mine." Liam turned to me, completely ignoring Aiden's struggling figure. He placed a hand on my cheek, cupping my face tenderly, his eyes filled with absolute sincerity. "Look at me. Tell this man what you choose. Tell him the truth." I felt the immense weight of the moment, the end of one life, the beginning of another. I looked past Liam's shoulder, meeting Aiden's desperate gaze one last time. "I choose respect," I stated clearly. "I choose the man who publicly calls me his boyfriend. I choose Liam." Aiden went completely still. The fight drained out of him, replaced by utter defeat. Liam turned back to his security team. "Escort Mr. Miller off the property. If he attempts to contact Noel or trespasses again, press every charge available. He is not welcome here." As Aiden was led away, his figure suddenly small and pathetic, I watched the final shadow of my past disappear. I leaned back against Liam, burying my face in the curve of his neck, inhaling the safe, rich scent of sandalwood and cypress. "It's over," I whispered, relief washing over me. Liam held me tight, his body solid and reassuring. "It's over, my love. Now the rest of our life begins." 6 months later, the city lights, which I once only saw from a distance in Aiden's cramped apartment, now stretched out below me every evening, framed by the floor-to-ceiling glass of the master suite. Liam had moved me from the guest wing to his personal wing 2 weeks after the gala, not as a possessive gesture, but a simple, shared acknowledgement that neither of us wanted to sleep alone anymore. My life with Liam was everything Aiden had promised and failed to deliver. Public, honored, and deeply affectionate. We attended corporate events, not as a disguise, but as a celebrated couple. Liam never once treated me as a corporate asset. He treated me as his heart. I was finishing up work. I had started volunteering at a local arts foundation, funded partly by Liam, when I heard the front door close. Liam's rich, comforting scent filled the air, and a moment later, he walked into the bedroom, shedding his jacket onto a chair. "Tough day at the office?" I asked, smiling as he crossed the room and pulled me onto his lap. "Not tough," he murmured, kissing the base of my neck gently, reinforcing our established bond. "Just long. I missed my mate." The word mate, whispered with such profound sincerity, still made my chest ache with happiness. "I saw the news," I told him, tracing the sharp line of his jaw. "Aiden Miller is now working as a junior manager for a minor firm upstate. He's completely out of the city." Liam shrugged, completely unconcerned. "He's irrelevant. Our lives are too full to worry about irrelevant people." He looked down at me, his eyes darkening with love and something deeply protective. "I have something for you. Something real. This time." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a simple, elegant box. Inside, resting on velvet, was a platinum ring. It wasn't flashy or customized with a corporate logo. It was heavy, beautiful, and utterly timeless. "A token of our commitment," Liam said, his voice earnest. "No secrets, no hidden deals. Just us. Will you officially take my hand, Noel?" Tears welled in my eyes. I didn't hesitate. "Yes, Liam." 1,000 times, yes. He slid the ring onto my finger. Fit perfectly, heavy and warm. I love you, he stated, his alpha claim ringing clear and true. I love you too, I replied, pulling him closer for a long, soft kiss. Liam held me tight, pulling me into the secure, loving circle of his arms, his scent filling my senses. I wasn't the humiliated helper from a party or the revenge trophy. I was Noel, loved and claimed, finally home.